Hi, everybody. Thank you very much. Super excited to be here. And thanks to Media Post and the sponsors for having me here at Northwell. Let's get into advancing our slides. So I'm Craig Konieczko, AVP of Brand at Northwell Health. Aaron, you covered the first 30 seconds of my presentation, so thank you very much. We are the largest health system in New York. Trust is incredibly important for us. We are a system that spans all of Long Island, 3 of the 5 New York City boroughs, and a bit into Westchester, with more to come heading north if we get things right in the next several months. Any Long Islanders here by any chance? I'm sure. Yeah, I see a few, right? Great. So you might know Northwell from your origins. I'm here to talk about trust, and I have some strong passions about the intersection of what we work in, healthcare and branding. There's 2 big ideas I want to propose today and cover. One is, and Aaron, I think you're absolutely right, healthcare is an incredibly low interest category. At the same time, I believe the era of brand building has just started in healthcare, and consumers are using our brands as badges of identity, just as they do whether they're buying Cokes or Nike sneakers or any other category besides healthcare to now. The second idea, which builds on this, is that I believe, and I may be biased, but I believe that brands in healthcare have just as much power, just as much therapeutic power to heal, to change lives, to influence good behaviors as the strongest medication, as the most precise surgery, as the most well thought through value-based care program, even more powerful than Ozempic. Definitely more powerful than Propecia, Jeff, right? Okay. So let's go on this journey. As brand builders, as marketeers, as advertisers, you are conducting brain surgery in the minds of your audiences. Hear me out here. It's important. The emotional idea, you have the ability, you have the time to present maybe a millisecond of an idea to a busy consumer who has a choice, who is just diagnosed with cancer, who is trying to find a new doctor. This is a low interest category. So you have maybe a millisecond to plant your emotional idea, your positioning statement, a bit about your brand, and rewire their neural pathways, create synapse connections, and hopefully create that emotional tug. So when they do need healthcare, you are there and you are their go-to. So in that way, we are altering people's minds. So see, brands and branding in healthcare is happening, not just selling drugs, not just selling new devices, not just getting you to sign up for their program, but at the highest emotional level, at the peak level. Whether or not you agree or disagree with some of the ads that were shown during the Super Bowl, they were master brand level, and they were emotional cues to think about branding differently and to build trust at the highest level. The problem is we're up against a whole new platform, different ideas, MAHA, science, influencers, other programs and platforms that consumers are starting to look at, patients are starting to consider. Why? Maybe what we've been talking about isn't connecting. And we need to think about not replicating what raw milk advocates are saying, but we need to think about what we're saying. And I venture we need to get our ideas, the biggest propositions we make, in line with the actions we want our audience to take and the hopefully ongoing behaviors that we foster. So let me take a step back. This is easier said than done. I recognize that. I'm a brand builder for the past 2 decades. I'm also a dad of 2 teenage daughters. It's been an incredibly snowy, slushy, cold, bitter February, if anyone is back up north with me. My teenage daughters go to public high school in the city. They commute by subway. But whether it's September, January, 80 degrees, or -10, they go out of the house every morning looking like this. So I take a look, and this happened every day in February. The cold snowbanks, the slush, the disgusting cold. And my purpose as a dad is, yes, keep my daughters healthy, but it's also to make sure they can engage with the world and be present and learn and grow. And they can't do that if they have the flu. So I say, are you going out of the house like that? Can you please just wear your boots, please? And of course, I get the eye roll, the smirk. You don't get it, Dad. I don't get it. I know I don't get it. And out they go. So for the next snowstorm, I think I realize my audience's mode of communication is TikTok fashion videos. So I send them this and I say, hey, no problem. When you get home after trudging through snowbanks, you're going to need some help. We can sit down and do this together, right? We can clean the shoes. It's maybe going to work, but it might get them to just wear this instead if I make a chore out of it. So there's some work to do, but the takeaway here is my purpose needs to align with my audience's needs and experience and the delivery that they're looking for. If it doesn't, trust will decline. So we are incredibly privileged as brand builders and marketeers at the intersection of healthcare and brand. These two worlds haven't always been synonymous, but I do think there's two important points where they do intersect. The need to take a purpose and distill it down to actionable level for our audience to build trust. And we're going to talk about that today. Northwell is 9 years old as a system. We came together out of the same insight that Aaron shared before. Healthcare is a low interest category. No one really wants to form a relationship with a hospital, do they? But if we build a brand over a longitudinal process, the consumer journey, right? If we are there soup to nuts because we have the scale, we're the biggest system in New York. If we engage our audience with storytelling and ideas that they can act on and are shaped around their needs, and we live a purpose. We are purpose led. Better health for all, right? We are here to align with the needs of New Yorkers to meet their very, very high expectations, and at the same time, show up with a little bit of swagger. Talk about the gaps in healthcare. Take head on where people are frustrated, kind of like what Hims and Hers has done, although we're not going to follow their playbook. But there's big changes that need to happen, and we are the health system in New York. None other will do this. That will take on and champion the need and the idea that everyone needs a shot at accessing relatively decent health care. So that proposition has served us well. And over the past 9 years, we are the market share leaders in New York against big brands, New York Presbyterian, NYU, Memorial Sloan Kettering. We also are the brand leaders. We're the most regarded, highest consideration brand in our market. That's been a success story over the past 9 years. But what got us here isn't going to get us to where we need to go, given the changes that we're seeing. The brand team that I lead includes advertisers, storytellers, and market researchers. We also partner with Strawberry Frog, our brand advertising agency of record, a movement agency who helps us distill better health for all into really exciting propositions. But we're looking at some big trends, and I think we need to investigate with full heart and clear eyes what people are looking for and why they're so frustrated with not health systems, but the health system. So, of course, it's new modes of wellness. It's new ideas about pharmaceuticals. It's a lot of anger. And underlying is the empowerment that technology delivers to consumers, combined with the idea that people are desperate to connect. And they will use any category. They'll even use healthcare plus technology to connect. Let's help them do that. So let's dive in quickly. Incredible momentum for health. Healthcare is back. People are proactive. Engagement is up well beyond where it was before COVID. There's a rise in chronic conditions, but that's not terrible because it means people are actually seeking care more, and rates of seeking care are up. There's an incredible shift from reactive to proactive. Our wellness visits as a portion of overall visits is up. And a great positive trend, screenings, healthcare screenings for cancer and heart disease and osteoporosis are up 50% since before the pandemic. Something happened at that time that are making people front foot, front toe forward healthcare. The end of brainless care is happening in our market in New York. 42% of consumers prefer a hospital brand. That blows us away. I mean, it's a testament to the work we're doing. We're pleased with it, but it means people are making a choice. They're starting to make a choice. Part of the story is experience first care models, and primary care is incredibly ripe for disruption. Within the next 5 years, a third of care will take place in non-traditional formats, highlighting the customer experience. And who gets this best? Of course, Amazon, finally wrapping One Medical into the fold, has told consumers the story. It's not the white lab coats. It's not the number one outcomes. It's the polished spa-like experience. It's the connected digital throughput. That isn't just experience, that's quality, and quality is a driver of trust. Shifting gears a bit, I don't want to spend too much time on this. we are apolitically engaged. We look for no regrets moves. But we have to respect some of what's coming from the other side of the aisle. If we're going to call it the weird well or maybe the contrarian cool, there are different ideas. I'm not drinking raw milk anytime soon, and nor should you, but maybe pesticides in the environment are a danger to our healthcare. Maybe some aspects of our value chain are creating problems, and we need to take a look at what's happening. Consumers certainly are; they're open-minded to it, and they're taking heed. No need to harp on this, but frustrations are mounting. Clearly, there's incredible anger around cost, around access, around limitations, and not being treated like a human being. And consumers know that truth and trust are in flux. They're aware, their eyes wide open. We need to do better. And as the biggest players in the room, who has the most to win or the most to lose? That's us. And trust in traditional care sources like health systems like Northwell is in decline. In the system overall, two-thirds of Americans now say the health system doesn't treat them like a person, and even doctor trust is being compromised. That's a problem. What are we doing? Well, we're turning on ourselves. This poster, which was from an organ donation nonprofit, which says donating organs is a decision for you. That's great. Consumer empowerment. I'm all for it. This isn't graffiti on the poster, by the way. Their art wipes out doctor, wipes out health system, and wipes out the insurance company. Don't trust your doctor about your organ donation decision. Now, I think that's a little bit of a self-inflicted wound here. We need to step back and think about the value chain and how trust is being built. So even though traditional trust is being questioned, doctors are still the bastion of hope. A sliver over half of Americans will say, yeah, I need my doctor to come through. Usage and excitement in digital tools, while table stakes is definitely helping, and we're doing the best we can to pull things like EHR and nurse practitioners and non-traditional care formats into our health system. It's slow going. It's hard to change. This is a watershed change, but it will happen and it will help. Of course, we have to mention AI. I'm sure we're going to talk tons about AI over the next 3 days, but our research tells us that 75% of Americans with nowhere else to turn are saying, yeah, I think it could do better than the existing system. And that cuts across generational groups. The study that came out last year pitted AI-driven doctors and human doctors interacting with patients via text. Which group was seen as more empathetic and delivering higher quality messages? Was it the human doctors or the AI doctors? Wasn't even close. Of course, it was the AI doctors. Now, I do want to, in all honesty here, doctors weren't trained to interact with their patients via text message, but you have to take a look and say, AI is more empathetic. I do think there's something else beneath the surface here that needs interrogation. The AI likely didn't tell everything exactly like it was. And sometimes patients need to hear something that they don't want to hear. And I venture AI didn't always do that to the extent that they needed to. I'd want to step back and see the outcomes of both of these groups in a year before I make a final judgment, but it's something happening here. 30% of the point, 30 points of loyalty for doctors is out of their control. Everything that happens before the exam and everything that happens after the exam, the throughput, the follow-up, the experience, out of doctors' control, but patients will judge doctors. They can go from a patient who's going to come back to that doctor to a patient who will go somewhere else. And that's because trust-seeking behaviors are full circle, not just point of diagnosis, not just examination room, but learning, examining, researching, following up. We've made patients their own general contractor for their healthcare, and maybe most are equipped, maybe many are equipped to do that, but I don't think that was intentional on our part. So with everything going on here at Northwell, we are taking a step back. The brand team that I lead, along with Strawberry Frog, are scanning for trends, but most importantly, we're walking the floors of the hospital, working closely with our clinicians. We're looking for the experience examples and delivery examples that pay off for the purpose. Better health for all. It's a call to change. It's served us well. But we have to continue to ask a question. And the question the brand team at Northwell is asking, led by Ramon Soto, our visionary CMO, is how? How are we getting it done for us and for our patients? So I think how is a really important question in the pursuit of trust. It's been said, I'm sure you've seen the video, the influencer who says, people don't buy the what, they buy the why. and I think it's Simon Sinek, right? And he's a smart, brilliant man. I think he's right to an extent, but I don't think he's going to be right for much longer. People don't buy the what because the what, quality care, table stakes. If you can't give me a solid doctor, a solid protocol, and a good quality experience, forget it. At this point, that's out the window. The why. We've spent the last 10 years promoting purpose driven brands. And I think that's fantastic. And we do need to inspire people. But at the end of the day, we need to bring that down. And I propose that branding everywhere, but particularly in healthcare, is now entering the era of the how are you treating me? How can I navigate this experience? How do your doctors work together? That is a choice driver we track. People want to see their care teams shape themselves around their needs. They make a decision based on that. And if they see one doctor going in this direction and a nurse going in that direction and other people going in somewhere else, not working together like a team, like a soccer team, like a basketball team, they won't trust that care. So we're entering the era of how in healthcare. And I want to show you a couple of examples where the brand team, Strawberry Frog, and our clinicians have come together and built out that purpose to promise to experience proposition. So we've seen doctors working over the past several years to address major inequity in healthcare. Our movement idea, having scoured the system, worked with doctors, was as follows. Let's raise the standard of care for the 51% of the population who have been underserved, misdiagnosed, untreated, and left out of the healthcare system that was built around a different population. It's February. I wonder if anyone can guess what that 51% of the population is. February is National Women's Healthcare Month. It's women, yes. Women are the 51% of the population. Healthcare has historically been built around the male anatomy, the male mindset, the male lifestyle. So these doctors realized that women were showing up with symptoms and doctors were missing heart disease, with symptoms and doctors were missing postpartum depression or ignoring it or dismissing it. They re-examined training, they re-examined their protocols from the bottom and worked with them to tell the story. And this is where we landed 3 years ago.
The default has been man. More than half the population are women. We have been understudied for too long. So Northwell created the only network of experts doing every aspect of women's health.
In New York than any other health system. And we treat women in the way that they would want to be treated, giving them a sense of healthcare that is around their needs. It's a perfect proposition and a perfect experience delivery to back up our promise of raising health for the communities that we serve. And best of all, it's addressing an incredible inequity that has gone on for too long. So very proud to talk about this February. The aspect of brand building that we need to address is consistency and building and chapterizing messages. Let's not just be one and done. Let's not take on a cause and then leave it alone and move on to the next one. For this International Women's Day, which is coming up on March 8th, Northwell is going to release the next chapter of our women's health movement, again, along with Strawberry Frog. I want to show you a really quick snippet of this campaign and then build on the ideas. Oops. Oh, it doesn't seem to be playing. All right, you guys can hit me up after if you want to see this. Sorry, it's not playing. We'll just go ahead. Yep. So the campaign builds on the same imagery, the idea of a statue, where we broke the mold last time. This time, we're rebuilding women's healthcare one missing piece at a time. And Northwell has gone from offering, the health system has gone from offering and focusing women's health care mainly on OBGYN and breast care to adding 25 different specialties who treat women with the original intent to build healthcare around women's needs. Cancer care, orthopedic care, heart disease, and 23 other specialties. This is this is our this is our delivery of the Raise Health promise, and we couldn't be more proud to be launching the next episode. So it is about aligning, and trust is about aligning that purpose. All of us have a big purpose, but bringing it down to earth for our audience through a promise they can understand and an experience and delivery that they can feel and sense. The last aspect of brand building and trust building is all about radical transparency. And Ramon has been visionary in opening the doors of our health system and working magic in a heavily regulated environment that we all exist in with HIPAA and patient restrictions and legal conservatism to tell our story. Because God knows, as we've seen, so many others want to tell our story for us. But if we can reclaim that story by creating a platform, Northwell Studios, which launched last year, it's a creative platform for storytellers, producers, showrunners, other doctors to come in who want to unlock the incredible stories that are happening throughout the system. Our team members performing, our patients. Not all of it is everyone's cup of tea. It can be very difficult watching. But we're committed to long format content that goes way beyond the constraints of advertising, goes far deeper than social media ever could. And we've been very successful placing this content in some very prominent places. I really want this video to play, so let's make sure this does. So we're incredibly proud of the fourth wall, breaking the fourth wall of storytelling that's possible. It's a lot of work to work through legal and find patients who are willing to let us tell their story. And to be fair, not all of them are happy outcomes. Portrait of a Psych Unit on Max. This is the Northeast's only inpatient psychiatric unit for college students, which is incredibly important at this time, given the mental health pandemic that is facing people that age. We were able to get participants, inpatients in that program to participate. And they know that this is so important for their stories to be told. So we're very proud that Northwell Studios is a platform for that to happen. But to organize that participation, get that clearance, and make that happen is very gratifying. It's important for our brand, and it's important to gain that trust that we need to get. When our audience, the general public, our prospective patients, our team members see the work that's happening and our willingness to show this in an unfiltered way, you have to build trust. You inevitably have to have people come to say, yeah, this is a system. I understand how they get here done. So a few things around where we've been and what we're going to be doing. What got us to the place we are today won't necessarily be enough. So we're taking things in a hockey stick moment, upping our game in a few key areas. We've always tried to tell different stories and culturally relevant stories, but we need to really shine the camera open and be as radically transparent as we can through studios, through our focus on deeper data and insights in the way we work. From social engagement, taking up causes like gun violence prevention, which we were here on the stage talking about a couple of years ago, and the need to continue to build in women's health, into moments of no regrets advocacy, taking a position on politically charged topics, but in ways that are apolitical that no one could disagree with. And then finally, going from a journey-based approach, which everyone needs to be doing, to knocking down significant challenges in our patients' lives. So whether that's planting food on the roof of a hospital and then opening our doors to hungry communities, to integrating care in different ways. We're the only system in the Northeast that can treat cancer for pregnant people, which is rare, but certainly a unique thing and shows our integrated model in action. To our AI Moms program, which uses AI as best we can to attack social determinants of health, which is proven to reduce infant maternal mortality rate in certain populations and tests. So we're very optimistic that AI plus human smarts can actually do the job, and it'll be an incredible story to tell when we move that forward. So it's easier said than done, but we have to line these elements up in a way that our consumers, our patients, our public, and our team members can understand and appreciate in order to build trust. I do really believe that the intersection of healthcare and branding is an incredibly important, life-saving place to work, and I'm super proud to do it. And thank you, and thank you for your enthusiasm. Look forward to talking with you all during this conference and continuing the conversation. So let's do it.
Craig, thank you so much. Craig, I have to know, you said clear eyes, full hearts can't lose. Are you a Friday Night Lights fan?
Friday Night Lights fan, big time. Big, that's been a great show to stream and great bonding moment with my daughters as well. So.
Let's open it up to questions from the audience. I will call on people randomly if no one raises their hand. All right, I'll start. So, Craig, you talked a little bit about being apolitically engaged, right, which is something that you told me, hey, you can use the term, but for mine specifically. Right? When you go out with these radical statements, like how do you manage any backlash that you receive? Do you hide it? Do you face it full on? Like, what does that look like when you're responding to people, when you're trying to be this radical in your advertising?
Yeah. We honestly, it's a great question. We've been able to thread the needle and really haven't tripped the third rail, which I think you're getting at, which would be easy to do. Not sure if anyone remembers our gun violence prevention movement. As I mentioned, it was presented on this very stage. It attacked the issue, of course, the scourge, the pandemic of gun violence, of mass shootings everywhere in the U.S., which really reached a peak right before the commercial and the movement was launched. But it was framed not in challenging someone's Second Amendment rights or diving right into the political discussion. We took a step back and made that issue a healthcare issue by encouraging our audiences to say, you can own a gun or you cannot own a gun. But before you visit someone's house, just ask them a question. Are guns locked in the house? That's getting close to the end and certainly could trip some wires. But at the end of the day, the supporting messages that we're seeing babies in our ER rooms that we have to remove bullets from isn't something that anyone's going to dispute. And by keeping pretty true to making this a healthcare issue with some touching into the societal issues, we've been successful to avoid getting mired in that, which would really be the whole purpose.
Who's going to be the first audience question? I got one over there. And please say your name and what company you're with before you ask your question.
Hi, I'm Kyle from Silverbush. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you, Kyle.
A lot of talk about AI, which is awesome. We hear a lot about that these days. What would you say AI, how would you say, or would you say is impacting your business most fundamentally from an AI perspective? Is it the content? Is it the execution? Is it the optimization? Which bucket would you say AI is helping you the most, and which bucket is helping you the least?
The most and the least. I mean, on the clinical side, I mentioned a couple of programs, but I'm not a physician, and I think there are a lot of so much potential there. But on the marketing and branding side, I think that's what you're really referring to. Our creative team is all in. They are committing. I'm not sure if I'm going to support this, but they're committing to launch our first AI advertisement this year. So let's see. But they are all in creative development, image development. I hate to say busting out low value text and copy, because I don't think that's probably the best use. Um, but it is a second set of eyes. So it's a efficiency play much more than a quality play. In terms of least, I mean, I think I'm touching on it. I think when we're all AI bots talking to each other in the advertising space, the humanity is removed. So I think AI as a tool in our marketing and brand suite has particular threat to a brand like Northwell, which isn't doing the typical doctors in white lab coats and stats presentations and number one outcomes like some of our competitors are. I think the humanity of storytelling is going to be much more difficult to replicate. So I'd expect us to adopt it more slowly on the Northwell side and the marketing side, but probably very rapidly on the clinical side.
Craig, thank you so much.
Good. Thank you all.